Let me start off with a quick story. About 3 years ago, there was a farmer who had a hammer. Everyone's seen a hammer, everyone's used a hammer. This farmer lost his hammer in his farm. So he went up to his friend, he told his friend, listen, I need my hammer, help me. So his mate got his metal detector out, came out, went looking for this hammer. Started bleeping, beep, 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 beep. So they started digging. Thinking, can't find the hammer, but they found over £2 million worth of gold, coins, silver, cutlery, and so forth. He went looking for a hammer. He didn't die, he made it. So, what does this picture tell you? I actually only received the actual, from the brothers, a template, a brief as to what this talk is about. So by that time I had already planned quite a bit. But nevertheless, let me just go through it. That's me, good looking, 1 year old. What have you noticed about this picture? Oh yeah, he's got that hair, good point. This is like the Batman show. The second thing you notice about this picture, I'm wearing a watch. Now, I could just about sit up in this photo. My mom used to say that we used to push you up, run around the camera, and you used to fall. So the reality is, from a very, very young age, I wore a watch. I've been a sucker with time. But let me give you some background to myself. I know it's all about getting rich, but it's not that easy. If you're thinking that there's a formula here, and myself and Hussain will share with you, and all of a sudden you become millionaires, it's not the case. But hopefully our life experiences will actually give you an insight about the opportunities and the challenges that you're going to come across, or you may have come across, and how to deal with it. I was born in 1972, and I have 6 brothers and sisters. My father was a very, very hard working class individual. His main priority was put the roof over your head and food on the table. That was it. No luxuries, no nothing. But alhamdulillah, he expected it, was happy with it. Coming from a Pakistani background and first generation in the UK, we were living like what you can call slums. But alhamdulillah, that was home. We had to survive one way or the other. So money was never a luxury. It was always about dividing it up. With other brothers and sisters in the house, it was about giving rather than taking. School. Now this is where I realized I've got a gift. What that gift is, I didn't know. At school, because I had no pocket money, I used to go around selling dinner tickets. I used to not eat food and sell my dinner tickets to other children. Then I felt hungry. I thought, that's not working. I got to do something else. So I started renting out movies. Most of you probably heard of Rambo as a grandfather. In my time, Rambo was the man to talk about. So these are the days back in the 80s, and I used to rent out movies to the students, to the teachers, and I used to make a livelihood out of it. Beyond that, I started selling vitamin C. I used to go to my doctor, and I used to say to my doctor, I'm lacking vitamin C. He goes, you're a young boy, you'll have plenty of time to make it up. But what happened is, the school I used to go to, we never actually were allowed to have fizzy drinks. So I used to get the vitamin C sachets, put it into water and make it into a Fanta. And then I used to sell it to the kids at school. Everyone was pumping on vitamin C. Huge amount of sugar. But I was making money. For some reason, maybe it's because I was wheeling and dealing with everybody, from the head mistress to the kids, they made me senior prefect. And I was like, okay, more responsibility. But I failed every single exam. At the age of 16, I left school with 0 qualifications. I mean, I think my highest grade was something like E or G. God knows what it was. So when I got home and I said to my father, he goes, how was it? I go, damn, excellent. E means excellent, G means good. And I was just blagging it. And I was thinking to myself, you know, doesn't matter, another chance. But I saw the expression on his face, and he was kind of let down eventually when he realized that you wasted 6 years of your life and you actually achieved nothing apart from knowing who Rambo is. So anyway, while I was waiting for how to kind of construct my life and what to do next, I decided to join a secretarial school. Now that's right, there were something like 90 girls and 6 guys. But I went to learn how to type. For some reason, this was something I just wanted to do. I wanted to learn how to type. So I learned. Leaving school, moved on to college. Naturally, that's what you do. At college, first thing I had to do was do my resits. So I resat all my exams that I was supposed to pass when I was at school. I didn't, so I did my resits. The other thing I used to do while at college was obviously it was difficult to make money and it was difficult to survive. So I used to go into police lineups. The police van used to stop. They used to say, do you want to make any money? I go, yeah, how much are you paying? They said, we'll give you £12. I would give me a packet of Walker's Crisp and I'll join you. So I used to stand in lineups next to criminals and get paid for it. It was the funniest thing. And I used to say to the police, what if they chose me? He goes, no, don't want to. You're look-alike. You get away from it. I was okay, fine, fair enough. But I was making money. Moving along, with my skill in learning how to type, I was all of a sudden getting jobs to do various different things, small contracting jobs, become a page planner. So I decided to start designing newspapers. At the same time, data analyst. I even worked night shifts. So by the time I was 17, I had a car, I had money. I was so easy, I was thinking to myself, education, who needs it? Forget about it. So I decided to quit my A-levels after 1 year. But I bumped into a friend. He said to me, come to university. I go, nah man, you guys are just wasting your life, 5, 6 years. He goes, no, come for the weekend. So I went to university. I saw a different life completely. I thought, opportunity, man. I could make money from these guys. So I went back, finished off my A-levels, just about scraped through it, got past the line, and I went to university. So this is university life. First thing I did, I didn't know which university I'm going to go to. I had no clue. Nobody would really even accept me. So I got a list of universities. I was from Birmingham. I jumped on a coach, landed in London, and the first university I went to was known as University of Westminster. So I went in there, I said to the guy, listen, I need to study. He goes, look at your exam results, they're pathetic. I got work experience. He goes, okay, fine, come on board. So I joined the university. First day at school, I broke a girl's leg. There was, sorry, not school, at college. There was no intention to do this. Well, likely there wasn't. But they make you do some stupid things, right? They're like, oh, you have to get to know each other. Okay? So they said you have to cross a football pitch with 3 barrels and 2 planks. Right, okay, that makes sense. So there's like 6 of us and we're trying to come across this football pitch. And as you do, after like 2 minutes you get bored. What happens? The plank falls over, we've left on 2 barrels. So everybody jumps up, apart from this girl that jumps down. On top of her, and me and my friend, who's a big Cypriot rugby player. Next thing you know, beep, boom, beep, boom. So everyone at university was like, watch those guys. Stay away from those guys. So it took a long time for us to make friends. But lots of opportunities. We used to hustle a lot. No money. It was like, okay, what we're eating? Beans, yeah, bread, yeah. So Monday evenings, we used to enter the pool competitions. And the winner takes everything. So myself and my friend, between the 2 of us, we won 18 tournaments. And that used to mean that the other guy gets to eat food at the end of the night. It was actually good fun. At the same time, when I was at university, I couldn't afford any property or any investments. However, in the UK, they used to give us grants to go and study. While my friends were going to a Rolling Stones concert, I decided to go and buy a property in Birmingham with my grant check. It wasn't much, it was less than £1,500 or 6,000 ringgit or something at the time. But I bought that. So instead of going to concerts, I'd go back and strip wallpaper. I ended up renting this property and hopefully, alhamdulillah, from there my business started. While at the same time, I had a huge passion for traveling. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has really blessed me to travel so much. I just can't help it. I love 8 miles. Universities, the brothers already read them out, where I've been, this and that, While I was at university, what I did realize that I was actually good at certain things. I was good at putting things together. For example, I created a business plan at university for my diploma, and the actual examining body used that as a model case study for up to 5 or 6 years after I finished. At the same time, my Islamic banking thesis, back in 95, nobody really heard of Islamic banking, so it was very pioneering kind of information. And it's actually the only reason why I actually got my master's, otherwise I would have failed it as well. Moving on, so in the span of 5 years, I was able to get diplomas and degrees and travel and masters and everything, considering the fact that I walked out with 0 qualifications. So it's like a button inside me that switched on to kind of say, not only do I have to prove something for myself, but prove something to the others as well. But during this time, I did a lot of networking, especially with my Nigerian brothers, mashallah. May Allah bless them. So I went for my first job interview. 16-page application. I got shortlisted to the last 108 applicants. I'm going to name the company. It was British Airways. Anyway, British Airways. I walked there. I was one of the 8 candidates. As I walked there for the interview, the guy turns up. He goes, "Sorry, we're not interviewing you." I was going, "But hold on a second. You've sent me an offer. I'm here." He goes, "Yes, but like I said, we don't want your kind." That was it. I wasn't white. So I vowed to myself that I'm never going to work for somebody as a full-time job. Regardless of what happens. What a stupid vow I made at the time, but it worked. So what did I do? I became a consultant. I thought to myself, why not? If I get up in the morning and I go to work, I'll get paid. If I don't, I won't get paid. I just did not want to be a number. I wanted to be a name. So I started working around the world. I worked for all these various companies and probably more than this as well. I used to leave every time they offered me a permanent job. After a year or so, they like you. They go, "Oh, please come stay with us for a year permanently." I was like, here's my resignation letter. They couldn't understand. They go, "Why on earth are you doing this?" I was going, "Because I have no loyalty to you. My loyalty is to myself. You are a bank. You suck people's money. I'm sucking yours." I used to say that blatantly, and they used to be like, what the hell's wrong with this guy? But anyway, my travels took me from everywhere, from Moscow to Wall Street. Wall Street was crazy. Working on Wall Street was like, oh my God. Every morning, we actually lived at the World Trade Center, what used to be World Trade Center. But it just showed you the lifestyle we had, and like Brother Hussain mentioned earlier on, banking is a nasty business. The people you deal with, the people who have got... Arrogance is one place you find it, it's in the city. But that was why I did it. I was so against it, and I was deliberately telling them why I was going to abuse the system. So, enjoyed it. Moving on, as I was saying, while you're in these kind of environments, what you do learn are certain lessons. First of all, whenever you feel like it, you're not down by the system, move on. Secondly, give recognition when it's due. When you do the extra mile, people will recognize you for it. And that, alhamdulillah, used to happen. When I used to move on from positions, my ex-bosses used to come up to me and say, "Come work for us." And they were in different countries around the world and so forth. So you show that you become valuable to people. As I was saying, I did never want to be a slave to the system. If you think that you're going to get a job after you graduate, you're going to graduate with probably another 500,000 people at the same day around the world. The jobs out there are scarce. If you think that your degree is going to get you a job, forget about it. Wake up. Your degree is going to get you jack. You'll be lucky to use it as toilet paper. Because after a few years, you're going to look at it on the wall, it's going to gather dust, and you think, what was the value on that? What's going to get you is your confidence. What's going to get you where you want to get is going to be the fact that you take opportunities. Believe me, nobody becomes a millionaire by working for somebody else. The other thing I used to do is avoid politics. I never had time for it. I wasn't the kind of person that would sit there and say, "Oh my God, what is she wearing? Oh, what's wrong with that? Why is the canteen food so disgusting?" You don't care. You just move on. Ignore. You're there for a reason. So as I mentioned, no loyalty to the banks, no loyalty to the system. Loyalty was to myself and my own family. Cash flow was always tight, because every time I'd make some money, I would actually invest it. So it's not as if I had big bank accounts to live on. I remember once making so much money, the day I got paid, the next day it was all out, and I had £500 to survive for another 2 months. So people said, "Why are you doing that?" My friends used to ask me, and I go, "Because I'm building for the future and not just for the present." So businesses. I was into events. I used to, for some reason, I have a natural gift of putting things together. When I was a student, we used to do the shave your tongue house parties. It was a Rolling Stones kind of envelope. At the same time, I used to do boat parties on the Thames. We used to make stupid money, just for the putting things together. I used to do parties where we used to fly to New York for the weekend. I mean, it sounds all kind of wow and this and that, but to be honest, I was just taking money. I was making money. That was my own intention. And now at the same time, I decided to do events for other organizations. My own ventures, I started off simple. I used to see ideas. I've traveled, alhamdulillah, to over 66 countries around the world. It gives me a good insight to cultures, to environments, to understanding people. I see things which I like, I pick up and I implement. I started a baseball cap embroidery business. It didn't last too long. I wasn't passionate enough to pursue it. I started a recycling business around UK. I was providing recycling bins to the majority of the shopping centres and high public traffic areas. I closed the business down after 4 years when I decided to come here. I didn't want to go back to the UK and just sit around. Beyond that, I went into very stupid investments. Investments which I thought were going to do me good. Maybe it's because it's a way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala purifying my money or how it putting me through certain tests. Because at one stage you think because you got money, you have everything. I've gone through projects which have actually sucked me dry. But I don't complain. It is the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying to you, wake up. This is your test. This is what's going to come to you. So I cannot ask for anything more from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala unless He wants to give me. And I know He won't give me anything less compared to what He's written for me. Properties, that was my background. That's where I started from. When I was in KL in 2005, I jumped out of a moving taxi, walked into a showroom, bought my first property. 2.5 years later, I had over 97 million ringgit worth of investments from investors from around the world that I've never met in my life. Very first question they used to say to me, have you got one? Lesson, put your money where your mouth is. Have passion, believe in what you're doing, learn the system, and people will believe in you. I am shameless. So I am going to play you something. Have you got audio here? Okay. Let's put the audio. Where's it go? First? Second? Where is it? Audio, guys. That's my next event. So by the time you leave, you should buy a ticket. So values. So alhamdulillah, life took me on a journey, thought money was there, had the luxuries, lived up and down. But then the question comes into your life, what's it all about? You know, are you willing to change? There was a moment of reflection, and that's the top image there that reflects that. What are you doing it? What are you doing it for? What is the bigger purpose? And then it came to a stage where, okay, now I have to change my life. As much as I would like to take some aspects of it, let me do it in a more halal environment and try to benefit others. So that's when the discovery came. And alhamdulillah, you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you could be in your environment and you probably learn nothing, but as soon as you've been put into a different environment, you learn everything. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens doors for you, you start learning opportunities, and you start actually making the most of it. So coming to Malaysia, alhamdulillah, was a big step for me. I moved here in 2008. And I wasn't doing anything much on the dawah scene. But by doing what I did and realizing the need for myself first and foremost, alhamdulillah, Allah gave me the opportunity to start Mercy Mission and the various projects. There's a different level of satisfaction when you help others. You can always help yourself. What I noticed myself was there was a greater level of barakah in my money. I didn't have that much compared to what I had in the past, but what I had lasted me longer. There was a greater level of satisfaction when you see the people that you've affected. So big bank accounts, big zeros don't really give you all that you always think it will do. Certain aspects, wealth, success, happiness, contentment, sleep. I mean, subhanAllah, you think to yourself, does money really give you all this? Not necessarily. When you look at it, right now, like what Brother Hussain was saying earlier, success in today is measured by how big your bank account is. You could be a highly educated individual with all the degrees and the masters and whatever PhDs. You can have all the values that you have instilled within you. You can have an ethical moral code, but you will be seen as a failure because you haven't got a job that your family is pleased with, or your in-laws are pleased with, or your partner is pleased with, because that means nothing. Here's another scenario right now, talking about marriage and coming back to the connection. You can have everything. You can be practicing Muslim. You can be a good person. But the father will say, how big is your bank account? Would you be able to look after my daughter? All those things become secondary. So we're living in a society where you're judged based on what your bank account number is and how big your digits are. You know these guys. I mean, if you put them wealth together, you probably still won't be able to count how much they have. But where are they now? They definitely died. And they probably didn't even try that hard. So what we do know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives rizq for those who are believers and non-believers. And the way He gives that is to test us. So all these guys, I mean, I don't know if you know about Robin Williams' story. I mean, this guy, we've all watched his movies, Miss Doubtfire and everything. Astaghfirullah. But the point being is, this guy hung himself. His wife woke up in the morning, she made herself a coffee, she potted around the house, and she left at midday without knocking on his door. His kids woke up, ran around the whole house, left for school, college, without knocking on his door. And the only person that knocked on his door was his agent, the guy who was making money of him, because he missed an appointment. When he turns up, he finds him hung. Just imagine that household where your kids don't talk to you, your wife is alienated from you, and you've got all the money in the world. I mean, is that richness? There's quite a few life lessons that I've listed, and I'm not going to go through all of them. But these are some of the points that I thought in life that are quite important in making sure that you can actually achieve the best of what you want. Taking risks, being fearless. Fear is one of the biggest things that most of us will never overcome. For some reason, we feel that, can't try that, it's going to fail. But how would you know? You need to be active. You need to overcome your fear. Because the first thing the devil and shaitan is going to do is going to put fear in front of you. Don't cross that road. Don't buy that car. Don't do this. Don't give in charity. Because you're not going to have anything left. So overcome your fear. Take risks. Because life is a risk. You don't know what's going to happen. Unless you take risks, you're going to be living on a flat tone. So be careful and take risks. Calculated risks. Be competitive. Have a vision. And more importantly, leave a legacy as well. Finally, the question comes down to is, how much money is a lot of money? And like the brother was saying earlier, it makes no difference today. There are, in countries like the US and China, there's billionaires out there. So even being rich with $1 million means jack. You're never going to have enough. There's always something more that you would want. So let's not chase after that. Here's a quote. Who is the one who is going to give you risk if Allah withholds it from you? Surah Al-Mulk. Most of us think that we earned that money. We haven't. It was written for you and it was given to you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So He has the right of it from you. He is going to question us. He's going to question us severely. What did you do with what I gave you? And that's what we have to be very careful about. What are we going to do to make sure? So to me, to conclude, true richness is when we get paradise. But we don't know if we are going to get paradise. So we just have to strive as hard as we can. This journey of being rich or die trying, it's more about get paradise, die trying it. So Jazakallah, thank you so much for your time. Hopefully, inshallah, if you have any questions, I'm sure brothers will answer it.